Absolutely. Coach Brady, how we doing?
Good. Doing good.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We just did a little basketball talk because you've kind of been in this situation before with having some football players that also wanted to play basketball. We were talking about the trade S situation, so we wanted to start you off and get your thoughts on that while we just because the man that has experience as a former LSU basketball coach. So I want to get your thoughts and kind of your read on the situation.
Well, I that's very difficult to do to play football and come out and want to play basketball as well. We had Don Royal play a little bit, or he didn't play a lot, but he came out one year when we were shorthanded and helped us a little bit. Didn't play a lot, but he did help us some. Trades, I thought was an outstanding athlete. I think he had a nice looking shot. He played hard when he was there. It's hard to come out and have 2 or 3 days of intermediate practice and try to contribute to the team when everybody else has been there a while. But I think he was missing a lot of school, with the demands of football and the travel and that sort of thing, and then certainly basketball when you sometimes travel 2 nights a week and you miss some school. Maybe that was part of the decision that he needed to do that, and certainly he's very important to the football team, and I understand the whole idea about it. But while he was there, he had a good attitude. I was around him a little bit, and he's a tremendous athlete.
Right.
Got great hands, and I think they got him playing the right position at LSU in football for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, and basketball is his first love. I mean, you can see just how much he wanted to be a part of the team in that sport because of how much he loved basketball. And then, it kind of turned on to one of his teammates, Cam Carter, obviously, in these 2 SEC wins for LSU. I mean, it's 27 against Arkansas, 29 the other night against Oklahoma, where he kind of single-handedly willed them to victory at the end. What does he mean to this program outside of just putting up 25 plus?
Well, that's probably the biggest thing he means is being able to score every night. I agree with you. I've said it from the beginning. I thought the key to LSU was Cam having to score baskets and keep us from having lulls in scoring. And if you really look back at our team, the times that we have had 3, 4, 5 minute lulls in scoring, which has allowed the opponent to increase their lead, Cam has kept us from doing that, and he did that the other night, and particularly the last 5 or 6 minutes of the basketball game, and I think that the emphasis other teams have is to if Cam Carter does score 15 to 25 points, make it be a difficult 15 to 25, and then when he doesn't score double figures as he has in a couple of games, LSU has really struggled to score some baskets. And it's ironic that the 2 SEC wins we've scored, I believe, 82 or 83 and 79 points. And as you alluded to, Cam has been our leading scorer with 29 and 27. So that right there tells you maybe how Cam goes offensively, the LSU team goes. And it was a timely win to have it at to go to Oklahoma and get it. If we ever needed one, that was one to get it. And I thought that these last 3 games, or this game, the Arkansas game, the Oklahoma game, and South Carolina, if we could get 2 of the 3, it'd be really huge for this team to be able to accomplish that. And it looks like we have that opportunity with South Carolina coming in tonight.
Yes, sir. I mean, obviously, South Carolina is the one team that is below LSU in the league rankings currently, as they've struggled to find wins in conference play as well. What do you expect to see from the Gamecocks tonight as they take on the Tigers?
Well, I've seen them a little bit on TV. I have a different opinion sometimes when I'm able to see a team up close and personal.
Right.
I like to get there early enough to watch them warm up and check their body language and that sort of thing, depending on where their team is in the conference race and what they have or have not done. So from what I observe on TV is the South Carolina team is still playing hard. I think that coach has got them competing. When you get in a rut like South Carolina is, and somewhat like LSU was, you have trouble closing games. And if you look at 6 or 7 of South Carolina's losses, they've been in 5-point games, but hadn't been able to win any of them.
Right.
And sometimes that happens when your team is in that sort of spin. But I expect South Carolina to play hard, but I also expect this LSU team to have its head up. And with what they did the other day on the road, I think they'll be excited about playing tonight. The thing I really don't like is 8 o'clock games. I think that hurts the crowd a little bit. And so we'll see how that goes. But I think Coach McMahon and the staff has got the team competing. I think they're playing hard. I think they're doing some positive things. We gave away the Ole Miss game, as everybody knows, and that's been discussed by everybody. And, it's funny how everybody can coach, but nobody can play. And, that's always been a thing about coaching with me. Coaching is an easy job because everywhere I go, people talk about it, and they all can coach, but really they can't. But I think this coaching staff has got our team competing, and I'll be surprised if we don't win the game tonight.
Yeah, no, and that was my biggest thing to see in the game against Oklahoma, where you just saw the resilience and the desire to push through and find a way to win that basketball game. Regardless of if shots were falling, what was going on, they pushed through and they were resilient, which is a testament to Matt McMahon and his staff.
Yeah, that's a good quality, and they plenty of excuses and reasons to not compete and not play.
Right.
But they've kept playing, they've kept competing. And so, I think it's going to show up. This game is huge tonight for LSU to be able to get, because what lies ahead is pretty difficult. You got Florida coming in here, and then you have Tennessee, two of the best teams, not only in the SEC, but in the entire country. So a win tonight would really be good for this team to be able to accomplish.
Definitely. And obviously the news yesterday that LSU is going to stick with Matt McMahon and support some more in the financial realm when it comes to NIL and things like that. I want to start with this freshman class that he has right now on campus with Givens and Robert Miller, Victorious Miller, and guys like that, where they've been such integral pieces to the success so far this season, where they're playing pretty high minute totals game in and game out. What have you seen from that freshman class?
Well, I think Robert Miller has improved. The last several games he's gotten more minutes, and he had a really nice game at Arkansas, and I think he's got a chance to be a good player. Victorious Miller, I think, has a chance to be a really good player. And Givens, his issue is he needs to improve his shooting, in my opinion, particularly from the three-point range, but he's a solid player. I think of the three, certainly Victorious Miller and Robert Miller, I think, are better, will become better players. The issue is, which you didn't really have to worry about when I was coaching, is are they going to stay? Are they going to test the waters in terms of transferring and NIL money? Are they going to stay at LSU? I think Robert Miller will. I'm not sure how the season ends for Victorious Miller will probably determine what he does. So those are factors that enter into this recruiting situation, and players staying and transferring is, what happens when you put yourself on the market, so to speak,
right,
and entertain the idea of transferring and see what's out there for a young man. And that's really, it's really a sad state to me in college basketball. That's what we're talking about now. Do we have enough money to pay players to have a good team? And if that's the bottom line, then I think there's really something missing in what college athletics should be about. But that's the nature of the beast that these coaches are dealing with now. But I don't want because we don't have enough money, and we're gonna never have the money in basketball that maybe some of these other teams did. We never had the facilities in the past. We never had the solid fan attendance in the past as some other teams have, but we still found a way to put a championship team together. So I don't want to put the narrative out there that because we don't have enough money, that's an excuse not to win. I think there are other things you can do and hopefully can do. But if we could get close in our NIL and get better at it, which we're going to do, it seems, I think that will help. But the narrative of, well, we don't have what they have, so we can't win games, I don't want to put that out there as an excuse not to be competitive.
No, 100%. And I think McMahon has done an excellent job at keeping his team competitive and kind of drowning out all that noise that kind of floats around, the program. As a coach, how difficult is it I know it's different now in this day and age to kind of drown out
Right.
a lot of that noise that kind of floats around you as the coach and your program and your players, when day in and day out, when it can be so negative.
Well, that's a good point. I think even when we were there and we had some good teams and the popularity that you get from that, particularly the players,
Right.
they really have to understand you have to do the best you can every day and take, if you buy a new car and you really like your new car, you keep it shiny, you keep it clean. And if you have a good team and you're winning games, you need to do everything you can to keep it shiny, keep it clean by still going to work every day and realize it can leave as easy as you got it. You have to take care of it and every single day that winning approach. I just don't know where this narrative came from. I wonder who said we're keeping Matt McMahon. I don't know. I know a writer wrote it, and was it released by the school or who was released by? Who verified that that's what the school is doing? And I'm sure they're going to do it. I hadn't heard anything else from
Right.
people that I know that any change was going to be made anyway. But I do think, and I said this last week, when all this noise was happening, as you referred to, and people writing stuff in the paper and opinions that come out with social media, I thought the school, if they weren't going to make a change, needed to make a statement for Matt McMahon and his staff. Because if you want to help recruiting, you need to stop the negativity by saying he's our coach. We've talked to Matt. We know what we need to do. He knows what we need to do. We're going to stick with our coach and improve his NIL situation. I think they should have done that more quickly than they did. And if you calm down the noise, you have to it can noise and stop all the speculation, because at the end of the day, that negativity does not help recruiting at all. And it gives other schools reasons why to tell a recruit they shouldn't come to LSU because that situation is unstable.
Yeah. How, in your experience, how often do things like that come up in recruiting discussions, whether it's between you and the recruit and they bring up, the negativity and the noise, or like you said, other schools and things like that? How often does that happen?
Every day. It happens all the time. Any coach, any recruiter, any angle or advantage they can get by the narrative that's out there in a negative way, they're going to use.
Right.
So I think it's important right now for Coach McMahon and his staff, for everybody to understand he's going to be back next year. Don't criticize the program, because you're hurting the team that you say you love when you do that. So you need to stop that, work with what we have, improve what we have, because it seems to me the administration has said Coach McMahon coming back, his staff's trying to do, and make it a positive situation.
What have you seen specifically over these last 3 games where, you've seen LSU, or at least these last 2 games with Arkansas, the win over Oklahoma, where you've seen them kind of clean up some of these turnover problems? Against Oklahoma, right. I think they finished with 9 when, most of the SEC games earlier in the season, they were floating around 15, 16, 17 turnovers a game. What have you seen from a coaching standpoint where they've kind of cleaned those things up?
Well, that's exactly the biggest thing they've done the last 4 games. They've had like 12, 10, 9, and 9 turnovers in the last 4 games. And even against Ole Miss, we took care of the ball. The second half, I think we had 9 or 10 turnovers and wound up with 12, maybe. Only had 2 the first half. But the ability to take care of the ball has been better. And I think our guards have gotten better in their decision making. And certainly that comes from structuring a practice where they're in those situations and they can improve by what you structure in the practice to make that better. But I think turnovers that lead to easy baskets, LSU has improved that in the last 3 or 4 games. Certainly they need to do that at home tonight against South Carolina. I think our rebounding has gotten better. We never were a great rebounding team, but we did do a nice job on the board against Oklahoma. But Oklahoma was a poor rebounding team when you look at their stats. Oklahoma team, I didn't think they defended very well. I didn't think they rebounded very well going into that game, and it certainly showed up in the numbers they gave us in terms of point total and in the rebounding stat. And South Carolina's along those same lines, you know. And I think if we continue to take care of the basketball and rebound it, not have live ball turnovers that lead to easy baskets, and make teams beat us in the half court, like we were able to get Oklahoma in a half court execution game, then I think we can beat this team tonight, South Carolina.
And then, you know, looking at South Carolina tonight, obviously they're going to have a game plan for Cam Carter, like we said, where LSU kind of goes as Cam goes, where they're going to win the game if Cam scores 27, 29. What do you foresee South Carolina to kind of do game plan wise to try to take Cam out of the picture?
Well, I think they'll go back and see when Cam did struggle, Georgia and some teams like that. I think I always used to go back and see when their best players struggled. What did the team do from a scheme standpoint to keep their best player from beating us? And I thought we did a nice job on Oklahoma's top two scores the other day. They both scored double figures, but it was a tough double figure scoring. They shot under their percentage. They turned the ball over a little bit, and LSU did a good job there. So I think South Carolina will double Cam on ball screens, and I was glad to see the last couple of games, which Chris Blair and I talked about. Instead of Cam coming off ball screens when they can attack him with a double team, have him coming off weak side ball screens as opposed to coming off direct ball screens. Right. And I think they did a better job of that, of getting him open without the ball being in his hands. And I think that's going to carry over into the game tonight. But South Carolina will try to make it tough for Cam. I think another caveat that the last couple of games, Damian Collins has really played well. Yes. And I thought he had his best game at Oklahoma, even though he hurt his shoulder again, but he got back in the game and played, but he's become more aggressive on the offensive end, and I think that's helped LSU offensively as well.
And last one here, Coach, we saw against Oklahoma, LSU went with more of a guard-heavy type of scheme because of, Corey Chest being out, the Trey Green situation, Derek Fountain not really being in the mix, where they had four guards and Collins starting the game, and they closed the game out after Collins fouled out with, all five guards, where they just went full small ball. Is that something you think you will see more of, or was it just kind of the situation at hand?
Well, I think the situation at hand, that's something they needed to do, foul trouble and that sort of thing, and injury and sickness on that team in Oklahoma. I've always liked us with four small players and one post. The other day we went with five perimeters, and what it did for us late in the game was spread the floor a little bit more. We were able to drive the ball to the goal. There was no postman sitting there on the block. I think it created some driving opportunities. I think it created some opportunities to drive and create rotations in the defense where you could kick it out for a in-rhythm three-pointer as opposed to a manufactured three-pointer. So I thought LSU did a nice thing in terms of spreading the floor. We got to the foul line the last 5 or 6 minutes of the game, and I think that was a result of going small and spreading the floor and having more driving opportunities to the goal in order to